Thank you so much to everyone for joining in. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I can't believe that it's already the last weekend of my conversation series. It's been 7 wonderful weeks, and I'm extremely happy and grateful to all the guests who took the time out and shared so much of their experiences, their knowledge, and some pretty great advice we've received from all of them. I thoroughly enjoyed conducting these conversation series, and I'd also like to thank everyone who took the time out to watch these episodes live, and also to people who've been watching it as and when they got the time and sent some pretty good feedback. Thank you for the positive feedback. Thank you so much for the constructive criticism as well. I truly appreciate it. So today is episode 13 of Conversation Series with Women of Substance. And my guest for today is somebody very special. She is a filmmaker, she is a designer, she's a photographer, she's an entrepreneur. But above all, according to me, she's an extremely beautiful human being. And I'm extremely happy to have her as part of the series. And I'm really looking forward to hearing her speak about her journey and learning from her. So, our guest for today is Shweta Chanda, who began her professional journey as a filmmaker post completing her master's in the same at the New York Film Academy, specializing in cinematography. She assisted cinematographers in Bollywood and shot feature films in LA as well as in India. Shweta was always fascinated by the relationship a mother shares with her child. Two human beings sharing something that nobody else can. She wanted to dig deeper and explore the nature of this relationship in all of its joy, innocence, and love. And that is how Plums and Bumps Photography, now called Shweta Chanda Photography, began, a company devoted to capturing moments that explore one of the most profound relationships on earth. Shweta is also a trained Montessori teacher and has launched a maternity and children's clothing line. Besides this, she is currently working on a platform that focuses on inculcating mindfulness in children. So, this is a very brief introduction to our guest for today. I'm really looking forward to hearing her speak and share her life experiences with us. So, welcome, Shweta. I request you to join our conversation and our call so that we can start off. Hi, Shweta.
Hi,
Can you
how are
see
you?
and hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Am I clear?
Yes, you are. You are. How have
Great,
you
I'm so
been?
happy. Great, how have you been? I'm so happy
Great.
to see you.
I'm really happy to see you as well. I can already feel the positive vibes.
No, I was really looking forward to. I've watched all your episodes and whatever I could watch, and I'm so proud of you. Like, this is amazing. Something that, I appreciate that somebody starts a project and they finish it and they complete it with complete dedication, and I really appreciate that. So well done.
Thank you so much, Shweta. Thank you so much for that. You've been very supportive from the start.
I
So
didn't
that
do
really makes
anything.
a lot of difference. Shweta, it's been almost a year since I last met you, and
Yeah,
so much has changed in the world since then. So, how has
yes.
2020 been for you, and what has been your biggest learning?
I think 2020 has been a blessing in disguise for me because I know like it's been terrible for a lot of people and very difficult. Of course, there were challenges, but if I have to focus on the things that I have learned, I finally could like get into that zone of those like the creative flow, because I suddenly had the time to create something of my own, like my personal page. I started to learn digital art. I created it. Then I wanted to do this maternity and children line for the longest time. So I did that. I read a lot about mindfulness. I trained myself in nonviolent communication. So I had so much time to just focus on myself and just enjoy the new house and,
Yeah.
set it up. It was amazing. It
Amazing,
was amazing.
amazing. That's such a wonderful thing that you've done so much in 2020, and I'd love to hear a lot more about all the things that you've done in detail. But to start with, could you tell us a little bit about your journey as a filmmaker? Like, I introduced you as someone you studied filmmaking, you've been a filmmaker, you worked in the industry of filmmaking.
Yeah.
You've also made short films. So can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that journey?
So after I graduated, I did my bachelor's in mass media, and I was also working in the industry as a production assistant. I started with production. Um, and I met this guy who became my mentor, and he was the one who actually pushed me to do masters in filmmaking. If I had planned to. I had planned to study abroad, so he told me if you're going, then just don't focus on cinematography. But there's a little backstory with cinematography. When I was modeling in college, I was just doing it for fun. So when I was modeling in college, every time I would go on set as a model, my eyes would only be on people who were behind the camera. And I
Oh,
literally, like in the beginning, I was so scared to go and talk to them because people behind the set, they have this whole routine and they are focused. So I would just walk to them and ask them all sorts of questions about camera and how it is behind. And one gentleman was so sweet. He actually made me look through the viewfinder, which was like another world for me. I was like, oh my god, this is insane. To be able to create a visual in your head from the director's brief, and then create a scene out of it, like lighting, how the camera should move in order to instigate an emotion or a feeling. So that was something that was very attractive to me than being in front of the camera. So when I moved to the US to study and did my master's in filmmaking, cinematography was something that just naturally, like, I knew that I had to be behind the camera. I didn't want to be anywhere. I didn't even phone anything else. Like anything, I sucked. I sucked in direction, and the only thing I enjoyed was behind the camera. I think I'm losing you. Am I?
but I can hear you very
Am I
clearly.
losing you? You can hear me.
I can hear you, yeah.
I can hear you. I mean, it's breaking, but
I can hear you, Shweta.
you can. No, okay. So your visuals are breaking. But anyway, if you're hearing me, then I'll continue.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah, journey was amazing. I met, like, being in America was awesome because I got to meet so many people from different countries, and you just realize that how small and insignificant you are, and your beliefs and your culture, your thoughts, all of that doesn't matter, because when you're in multicultural environment, you are constantly learning and exploring so much about yourself. And for me, that was like a big change in my life, like going there and studying filmmaking. And when I came back, I continued to work as a cinematographer. I assisted like really big names that I really admire in the industry, and I learned so much from them. But eventually, I think I just transitioned into photography somehow. I don't know how this happened. Everything just happens naturally. So that transition also happened naturally. I don't miss making movies, but I miss being on set. Definitely.
Right. Okay. But what has been like your biggest learning from that experience, Shweta, if I may ask?
See, personally, I think I have grown a lot as a person because I've always been very open. And for me, that environment of meeting so many people from different backgrounds was incredible. And as an artist, I think my doing the homework that you need to do was something that I learned. Like, when you're making movies, uh, you have to study films. That's the first thing.
Right.
You can't just have an idea and then you just go and make a movie. You got to study films. You have to understand a lot of technical bits. You have to understand that there has to be a text before actually creating a scene, or if you're directing the actor. There's so much going on. It's probably one of the toughest industries to work, but also like a lot of fun. And people
Yeah.
I know, they are just making movies out of sheer love and not for money at all. So
Wow.
it's awesome. And there are three things that they've always taught us, like while I was studying, is like first should be story, second should be performance, and third should be technical.
Right.
So I need to always focus on that, because you may get the best equipment, you get the best location, but if your storyline is poor or your performances are poor, then there's no point in the movie, now.
True. I think that's such great advice, not just to filmmakers, but also to dancers, because when we make dance productions, I think the same applies. So it's pretty great advice, Shweta. Thank you so much for that. Um, and then you said you naturally transitioned into photography. But before I get into photography, I know you love children. So can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about how that happened, how it started, and just a little
So
about that?
children, children, I don't remember a single moment in my life where I just didn't want to be associated with children. From the time like I was a young kid myself, and I had my youngest cousin sister, she was born, and I remember like I used to come from school and I wanted to swaddle her, I wanted to feed her, I wanted to make her sleep, and I would do everything. And I, for a longest time, I would tell my parents I wanted to be a babysitter, and they would like,
Oh,
why would you want to be a
right.
babysitter? Who wants to do babysitter? Who wants to be a babysitter? I said I want to be a babysitter because I just want to be around babies. And I
Yeah.
think over time, as I grew, of course, I became very ambitious. At certain point of my life, I was very ambitious, and I only focused on what I want to do and what I love. Thankfully, I had the privilege, and it was a blessing for me to be able to do what I loved. There was never a pressure for me to change because of anything.
Right.
So, and when I was doing filmmaking, I came back and I moved from Bombay to Delhi. So that was a change in my life, because then if I was staying in Bombay, then probably I would be still working in the industry. But
Right.
then I moved to Delhi. We ran a film magazine online called Pandolin for a long time, which did pretty well at that time. And then somehow my friend had a baby. I went and took a photograph, and then I just got hooked, and then finished everything over. Now I just want to take pictures of children all my life.
Wow, wow. And I can actually feel the energy that you are kind of giving out now when you say you love children, because it reflects in your page on Instagram. Like, if for people who do not follow Shweta Chanda photography, please go and check out the page. Every picture, though it has a baby and a mother, is different.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Good.
there's a lot of emotion that I see, which is differently captured in in each photograph. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspires you when you take up a project?
I think for me, I think this comes from being a filmmaker. For me as an artist, of course, I do things for myself also. But if I can take somebody's vision and make it like create something out of it, is really satisfies me. So when I am talking to a client, and sometimes the clients won't really know what they want, but they have an
Yeah.
idea. So for me, that space, I have so much room to suggest, to create. Okay, I meet them first, I meet the child, I see how the child is, then I will think of some idea. Okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then while I'm creating it, then I somehow just everything comes together. But if I'm thinking about it like constantly, it doesn't come. I will
Ah,
have to on just, even in my personal project, like sometimes creativity just comes on the day I want to shoot.
yeah,
Until few days earlier, I'm just like overthinking so much.
yeah,
So with children also, it's very spontaneous, and children are so
yeah.
spontaneous. I
Right.
cannot plan too much. I'll make the best set, but the child doesn't want to sit in the prop. So what do
Exactly.
I do? I just like move around my things and just focus on the emotion of the baby rather
And
than my setup, because that's not important. If the
correct.
setup is beautiful and the child is not happy, the picture is not going to say anything. So
Yeah.
for me, that connection with the parent and the child with my camera looking through that is just so amazing. I
Yeah,
enjoy
and
that.
it really does come through. I'm not just saying this because I know you, Shweta, but it really does come through the emotion that you try to capture. And like you said, you also work on your personal projects, and on your personal page, there are so
Yeah.
many images which convey such interesting messages through photography.
Mm.
Like, I remember seeing one. I think you had like this missile. I think it was like
Yeah, like a
something to do
crayon.
with, yeah, a crayon, like a missile. It was so cool because the message was simple, but it just made so much of sense because of the photograph. So tell us a little bit about your personal projects.
So my personal project was because there are few artists that I've been following for a while, and I love. They are all digital artists, not necessarily like great photographers, but they create beautiful stories out of pictures. And you need to know photography as well as a lot of Photoshop or illustration, or also like an artist who can draw. Um, I wish I could draw, but I'm not a very good painter. So for me, like my Photoshop is like my canvas. So
Yeah.
I thought that since I had time and there were no shoots, maybe I could practice something and see if I'm good at it, or at least I should try. So then I started, like in lockdown, I started to do simple things. And now I am learning every time I learn some new technique, how to present it. And then I follow these people. So I get very inspired by what they're doing. And I think that inspiration, that visually, I get inspired by it. And then somehow I kind of like put those thoughts through my lens and see what I can
Right.
connect with. That's
Yeah.
how I think it's happening. And I also want to do the same with children. Like eventually I would love to create these small illustration, like, not illustration, but more like a photo realistic imagery with children. So let's
Right.
see that when that happens.
Right. Right. Amazing. So, how do
Mm.
you ensure that your creative juices keep flowing, Shweta? Because it's not easy being an artist.
It,
It comes
if
from you,
somebody
it
says
doesn't
that
come.
creative resources are flowing all the time, then that's a big lie. I'm so sorry I interrupted you. Did I?
No, no. I was just saying, some days you get a lot of ideas, but you have nothing. So, how do you ensure that your creative juices keep flowing?
Amy, I'm losing you a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. Just say.
Yeah, I was just asking you how you ensure your creative juices keep flowing.
I think it's a myth that if creative juices keep flowing, it can never flow.
Exactly.
It's not
Yeah.
like it is. You just have to wait. You just have to wait for the creative juice to come inside. Like, there is, Elizabeth, how can I forget her name? The author of Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. So Elizabeth Gilbert had a TED talk after her second book. I mean, she had written Eat, Pray, Love, and then she had written Committed, which I read both, and Committed didn't do that well. So she was called on TED talk, and she was asked like about creativity, that Eat, Pray, Love did so well, and Committed didn't do that well. So how people judge you and all of that. And she said something really beautiful, like a story that stuck with me since then. She said that she met like a European poet. She was very old, and that poet used to live in a farmland. There was nothing around, just like a small hut. And they were just sitting and having tea. And she said, for me, the creativity comes like wind. And I can see sometimes like the wind is just coming towards me. And then I run to my room to get a pen and a paper and just write it down, because sometimes it just doesn't stay, right? It just like
Right.
passes through you and it's gone. But
Yes.
sometimes, like if she sees the creative breeze coming towards her, she will run, and sometimes like she catches the tail end of it and
Right.
works reverse.
Yeah.
So that's something that I could completely connect with, because that's how it happens. It just comes to you, and with your skill and with your talent, you can manifest that creative idea that you have.
True. True. True.
So it
So
could be
well
with
put.
anybody and anytime. The pressure of being in social media and handling creativity is so much. Like for
Yeah.
me also, sometimes I get the pressure of like, it's been a week, I haven't created anything. But it just doesn't, it can't happen, because I would rather like not put something that is not very inspiring, or not, that doesn't make me happy. So
Yeah.
I just wait. I just wait, and I just wait for the right time, and then it will come. But overthinking is never going to help anybody, for sure.
So true and
So
such an
just,
honest
I think
response.
people should just, creativity is like, even in Greek mythology, creativity was regarded as God. So it was like a physical thing outside of you that would come to you. So
Hmm.
if it will just come whenever it has to come, and you just stay open to it, no
Right.
pressure, because creativity can never come through pressure at all.
Right. Right. I think that's such an honest answer, Shweta. Thank you so much, and I'm sure a lot of people needed to hear that. Um, can you tell us now a little bit about your clothing line, Shweta? I know you've started one which deals with maternity wear and clothing for children. So where does that?
I am not a designer. I would not give that credit to me at all. I am not. I can select clothes, but I cannot design anything in terms of clothing, especially. So I work with some people and we collaborate. For me, my initial idea was to provide this clothing line for my clients as a package. So when, especially with maternity, woman is going to just wish that on the she feels great and she needs to look beautiful and she needs to feel confident and she needs to embrace her body and her mind and her soul like all in one. She needs to feel like a goddess. You're creating life. I think that's a miracle. Like, I feel like that is something that cannot even compete with God. That is like a quality of God. So for me to be able to do my best in every way, like if I can provide clothes to my client, then that would help. So that's where it all started. So it's basically not like a regular maternity clothing line. It is more like on order. So if somebody wants to get a photo shoot done or wants to rent an outfit for a photo shoot, uh, so that is what we are doing. It's like a portfolio for me. And for babies also it's the same. Like if they want to wear for birthday parties or for a baby shoot or even for baby shower, whatever. So though it's that kind of outfits for now. At least we are focusing on now on that.
Right. That's really interesting, Shweta. Thank you so much for sharing with us about your clothing line and the purpose behind it. Now I'd like to ask you about your training as a Montessori teacher. So can you tell us a
Mm.
little bit about why that happened? Is it because of your love for children that you decided on going down that road?
Yes, I think I had reached a point where I just didn't want to be a photographer, but I also wanted to really understand uh, the psychology of children. And I was planning to actually take up psychology, but
Okay.
then but somehow it just I was talking to a few people and they said that Montessori, I had never heard of Montessori training, so I looked it up. I saw that some of my friends have put enrolled their children in Montessori education. So I think the whole idea of Montessori teaching was very captivating for me. I'll tell you why, because Montessori herself, she actually developed this education system by observing children.
Right.
And she realized that she discovered that children don't need to be given too much instruction. They can just observe and learn very quickly. So in Montessori training, the environment where they are taught is extremely open and free. There are no rigid rules. There's less competition. You are learning through play. You're learning through practical life exercises. So the way they're teaching children is it's beautiful, like unlike traditional method where you would have
Yeah.
like 20, 70, 80 students in the class, and I have no interest in that subject, but I will still have to study it, or I have to still compete with the first ranker. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
never going to grow, right? So the focus here is very different, and I mean, I think schools are changing right now, and a lot of schools are adapting this kind of method, not necessarily Montessori. But
Yeah.
Montessori also it came at a very difficult time of my life. I was going through a very rough time in my personal relationship, and I needed to take my all this pain and all that suffering that I was feeling and use it somewhere. So learning and getting trained as a Montessori teacher, really, just being around women all the time, and then you have this project. So it kind of gave me some reason to get up in the morning. Otherwise, I was in depression. I was like on my bed all the time. So that's something that really changed me. I think it was a very important aspect of my life. And I understood so much about children, like when they are 3 months old or 3 years old, what are they really feeling? What are they going through? How are you supposed to take care of them? The adversities that they could be going through, how to overcome them, how to, all of that. So it's a very beautiful program. It's a very beautiful program. And I
That's
really, if my teachers ever watch this, I'm very thankful. Like, they were wonderful in Delhi.
wow. Wow. Now that you brought up your teachers, Shweta, who have been your inspirations and your gurus in your life so far?
And if you would have asked me this question like few years ago, I think I probably would have given you a list of people I got inspired. Uh, but knowing me, and I think my biggest inspiration uh, have been all the spiritual gurus. Like for me, Sadhguru and Muji, all these people are extremely inspiring because every time I'm in a situation where I am feeling a lot of stress or I am feeling anger or any sort of like a very deep, strong emotion, I would always imagine how would they react? What would they be doing? How would they feel? How would they respond to that? And I would always, through their guidance, through my meditation practice, I have learned how to get into that space where I can look at something very neutrally, equanimity, and uh, just staying as an observer and to be able to see that nothing is directly affecting you. You're just like playing it in your head so much.
Mm.
So these are my people, and of course my husband, like, if the way he works, and if you're talking about motivation, yes, he keeps me motivated all the time. Like being in a stressful environment, yet like doing his work so happily and then coming home with, just like being joyful. I think I get very inspired and motivated by him for sure.
Wow, wow. And just taking from what you said, Shweta, that staying calm and composed in difficult situations is probably the smartest thing to do, but doesn't come very easily,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
especially in 2020, I think because of
Yeah.
so many things that have been going wrong. I mean, you are a person who's taken the best of it and, made the most of it, but there are a lot of people who are unable to do that. So, what would your advice be to people like that, coming from a person who has gone through your share of hardships in life? What would your advice be to people who are unable to come out of these tough situations?
Pain, right? You know, um, it's very easy for me to say it,
Yeah.
that you should be positive and all of that. But I genuinely know, like, maybe my hardships were in comparison to people who are on the street is not the same. I'm not going to. It's very different. So all hardships are different, but you have the capacity to look at something clearly and without making a judgment. You have, no matter how worse, how bad the situation is, so it's up to you. So
Yeah.
I feel that when, for me, my biggest learning and my biggest teaching has been that whenever there is a very difficult situation, I have trained my mind to look at it as an opportunity, because I totally believe, like, even
Wow.
still water will also become stale. There is no chance for anything that is still, like even our heart rate. If it's stagnant, if it plateaus, then you are dead.
Yeah.
But if there is movement, if the water is flowing, then you giving life the opportunity for you to flow with it, or you're giving the opportunity for you to grow. And I feel like, Sadhguru said this very beautifully. He said that we only find something challenging because we don't know how to deal with it.
True.
So when a situation arises in your life, when you don't know what you have to do, so take that as an opportunity for you to learn how to be and how to respond to it. Maybe you will make a mistake. Maybe people will judge you. Maybe you will judge yourself. Maybe you'll make an error. But that's how you will learn, and there is no other way. Otherwise, what, you're going to just be in a shell, living that kind of life, all and in that bubble, and you'll
Yeah.
never grow. You'll never be able to understand anything beyond yourself. And that's why people suffer, because mostly the suffering comes from here.
From within. Mm.
So I feel, and the only way to do is to train yourself like
True.
that.
True.
I mean, people are born blessed like that. They watch their parents and they know that how to navigate through life um, with peace. But for some, it is not possible. So you have to be willing to change.
True. Have to be willing to change. I think that's so beautifully put, Shweta. Thank you so much for that. Um,
I
not
mean,
just
don't
the,
keep saying thank you.
because no, the reason why I'm saying thank you, I'm sorry if it's coming across as scripted or
No,
something,
baby,
but
no.
the reason
Yeah,
why I'm saying thank you is because I'm resonating with what you're saying, and I
yeah,
have been resonating with all the speakers on so many levels.
yeah.
So for me, it's like thank you. Thank you for saying things that I'm resonating with. So
Yes,
it's
yes,
just pretty
yes,
much
yes.
is that.
Correct.
Um, Coming to your new venture, Shweta, your new
Yes.
platform that you've started on your social media page to create awareness on mindfulness in children. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Um, I think this happened only when I was with Sadhguru and I trained myself with the meditation practice. And when I went to the ashram, I saw all these children. Amy, I can't tell you how free they were. Like just their being was resonating so much beautiful energy that there was like they were life itself. Like they were just in tune with everything around them. And I thought that it won't be so beautiful to see all the children just like that. It is possible, 100%. So for me, since then, it was there in my head that I wish I could see every child like that.
Wow.
And that's something that I am very passionate about. And the only way to start is from us, right? And
Yes.
whoever I am with, whoever I talk to, and I feel like that person is open to it, I start to kind of talk about it. I listen to what they have to say. I learn from that. And then I try to create I'm trying to create a platform where my focus is that mindfulness should become a part of you. It doesn't need to be a practice.
Correct.
People should be mindful from the beginning, and
Right.
if they're not, then you have mindful people around you who can guide you. So that's why I am so and I've seen the difference in me, and I've seen the difference in children who are mindful and who are not.
Right.
So for me, that's why I kind of I'm working on it now, like physically and practically. I'm working on it. Earlier I wasn't, but now I'm trying to get people together who wonderful people are doing such amazing things for mindfulness. So I want to focus on children.
Right. Right.
Adults will benefit indirectly, especially parents.
Right. True, true. But like you said, Shweta, this is something that everybody should possess and it should come organically to us human
Yes,
beings at a young age. But it isn't the case in a lot of situations because of our education system and the way a child is brought up. So, how do you plan on making this a fun experience for children? How do you think you can put it across and maybe make it a little more approachable for kids to kind of take it in the right spirit?
I personally feel that mindfulness has nothing to do with education or your. I don't know if you said like where your background is. You can be mindful no matter where you
I
are and
said
how you are.
you're brought up in different ways.
Yes.
Everybody is
So
brought up.
yes. So I feel that mindfulness should start from an individual, and not necessarily it has to become from a certain background. Or there are people who have been very religious, like our parents are very religious, but the children are not at all religious at all. Like they don't follow anything. So that has nothing to do. Mindfulness is not that. I don't want to compare it, but I just feel that. Uh, the only way to promote mindfulness is by understanding what mindfulness is. A lot of people think that mindfulness is some mental problem that you have to go. It is not a mental problem. It is just about being aware of the present moment. And it will only happen through practice, and it will only happen through guidance. And so, if you think that it is important, if you have experienced it on your own, then you will know the benefit of it. I cannot force anybody to become mindful. There is no chance, because it is very easy. Nowadays I see in schools, like they will just ask the children to shut their eyes, and then like the child is
Yeah.
not even, that's not mindfulness, that's not meditation. Just closing your eyes and just like your thoughts are running everywhere, and you just want to think, okay, what am I going to eat after this, or what am I going to drink? That's not mindfulness. So for me, creating a platform where we can introduce activities that are regular activities, like eating your food or drinking or watering your plant, or like for instance, if a child feels like a lot of anxiety, and the parents get to know about this anxiety. So usually when you teach the child to create a space around him. So for instance, you can create a box, and you can ask the child to sit in it, and then just reflect, be with that child and reflect on those feelings. So the child knows that every time I'm feeling anything, I should just like create a box around me so that I am not throwing this energy out unnecessarily. Or
Wow.
for instance, if a child is feeling some really, like, they go through adversities at every age. So if a child doesn't know what he's feeling, so like, just ask your child to raise your hand and like probably sway like a tree. And after some time, they will actually feel like a tree. So everything starts to release, like simple activities.
Yeah.
And the child will enjoy it because there is nothing like, I have to sit and the child has to do all sorts of meditation, breathing practice. Nothing is required. But for that, the adults have to really understand that mindfulness is very important.
Right.
Mindfulness helps a child in so many ways. It will, promote stability. It will help the child to stay in the present. It will develop compassion. It will develop patience, focus, and it is directly linked to how the brain develops. Because when you are growing as a child, your prefrontal cortex builds these connections very quickly, and it's going at a very fast way during childhood. So when you are mindful, right, when you start your child to become mindful in its own way,
Yeah.
the connections become stronger. They promote self regulation. The child knows what to judge things well. They also more patience. It develops more patience and cognitive skills. It develops cognitive skills. There's so many benefits. So I
Right.
just feel that we should just I my only purpose is to educate people that
Yes.
uh, these are the benefits, and I want to take it to schools where they can actually not just practice meditation, but mindful activities where
Correct.
children can naturally become more mindful. You don't have to teach them
Right.
directly.
I think
So,
that's a
yeah,
fantastic initiative, Shweta, and all the very best to you on this journey of educating people on mindfulness. Because I think not just kids but adults also need to learn a lot. And those
yeah,
fun
we
activities which
need
you
to, yes,
mentioned, I think it's pretty interesting even for us adults to try it out. Like, why not?
yeah, yeah.
So
It
yeah,
has
it's
to
really
start from us.
interesting.
We can't expect our
Exactly.
children to be mindful if we are not.
Exactly. So true. So true. Wow. Thanks again. Thank you for sharing that,
Thanks.
Shweta. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, sweetheart.
Okay, now moving on to yeah, my next question is, you do so many things. You're a photographer, you were a filmmaker, you were into cinematography, and now you're into mindfulness, and you're trying to educate people. You're a teacher. Which role gives you the most satisfaction and happiness?
I think no role gives me any satisfaction. The
No.
time I start to play any role, all the satisfaction is gone. Because as soon as you take a role, right? You play any role, be it sister, brother, wife, or any daughter-in-law, or photographer, or be it whatever. As soon as you start to play role, you are binding yourself with all these beliefs with you that you've been probably conditioned to believe in a certain way. So I have
Yeah.
stopped taking any role. If I am behind the camera, I'm totally one with the camera. If I am working something, I'm totally one with it. I am not trying to be anything. I really don't want to be anything. I don't want to be the person who started something or ending something, or I don't want to do that. I just want to do my best every day, what I'm passionate about and what I love. And that's what gives me happiness. There is nothing else.
Right.
So no role playing.
Nice. I mean, that's amazing. That's making me rethink my question. Like, maybe I should have worded it better, because that is so true. When you get into a role, you have these preconceived notions about what you should or shouldn't be doing in that role. So that's such an
Absolutely.
interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. So just be happy and just do whatever you want to with full passion. I guess that's the
Yeah,
take
full
home.
focus. Just be focused and don't think about whether it is good or bad, or whether you could always improve. We are all improving every day by
Yeah.
practicing our thing. You were
Right.
not the same dancer as you were. You are not the same dancer as you were earlier, right? You've grown. You become a teacher now. You're teaching so many students. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
everything takes time. You just flow
It
with
does.
it.
Yeah. So now that you brought up the fact that I'm a dancer, Shweta, I have a question for you as a dancer.
Yeah,
So being in the public, important for any artist to kind of be there on social media, and I think it's become a part of being an artist, being there on social media and posting photographs and just kind of being out there. So, would you
Yeah.
have any tips or advice that you'd like to give us dancers on how to click nice pictures of ourselves? Any simple tips?
I think technically, if I have to say, I mean, I will look at it technically, because if a
Of course,
dancer is
yes.
amazing, then the only way to enhance a picture is like I should have the technical knowledge to
Yeah.
create a beautiful story out of that. So I would look at it technically. Like you will either, I would advise not to take your own photo unless you're doing a video.
Okay.
Because what happens is that if there is movement, right? So technically, the movement in the picture can be blurred and it can be artistic. But if you have somebody who knows how to operate a camera, who understands the basic rules, then it would be easier. And for a dancer, I think location is also very important.
Hmm.
Um, and what you are trying to show, the lighting is so important.
I
Like
think.
sometimes I think a dancer in silhouette is so beautiful, you can just get lit from the back, or you're standing against a window and you're just posing, and maybe a little low angle of a shot, so the light can just come through. Or what else can you do? But that's definitely, I would say that you will have to look at some references and see what works. Because I haven't really captured movement so much, But there is,
Okay.
I think you should. Storytelling is very important, so you will have to plan the thing properly. But I can
Yeah,
help you.
I think that's a
I
that's
can
an
help you
interesting
off.
take home. Yeah, yeah, we should definitely do a short workshop or something of that sort, because I think
We will. Let's do
I
it.
have a lot of questions to ask you for sure.
Huh. Okay,
Yeah,
great. I will be
yeah.
happy to answer them.
But
Maybe
I
I'll come
really
to
like the
Hyderabad.
fact that you've mentioned storytelling so many times in our conversation, because
Yes,
be it a photograph, be it a dance production, be it a movie or whatever, the story is the most important. So I think that's
yes.
some great advice, Shweta. Coming to the end of our conversation almost, you're an entrepreneur. You have a number of businesses that you're running. So if you'd have to give any piece of advice to young entrepreneurs, specifically women, what would that be?
Yeah. I would just say live your life and do what you love. Don't I really, like, maybe it's easy for me to say as an artist, but if you really love something, I feel I just feel very bad people when they are working like 8-10 hours in a office and they hate their job,
Yeah,
and all they want to do is quit it and want to do something else because they love, but they can't because of money. I
true.
understand, I respect, you can't. But I also feel that then how do you enjoy life if you can't live your passion properly? I think you should find a balance. Like, I understand, like, money is important and financial stability is important, but with it you got to, like, take out time for yourself.
True.
Maybe you work like 1 hour less, and maybe you can take that 1 hour and create something. I know a lot of people who working also, and they are also doing things that they love and starting their business online. Thankfully there's Instagram, and they're selling things online and they're creating and they're enjoying it. And people who are not like have a creative bent, but they're enjoying creativity so much.
Yeah.
So I just feel that, just do what you love. Just do what you love. Nothing else is important. Nothing really is important, because if you may have all the money, you may have all the materialistic luxury, but you're not happy as a person because you wake up in the morning thinking that, oh my god, I have to go to office and I hate that work.
True.
Either just be courageous to quit the job,
Yeah.
but don't struggle because you are the only one who's stopping you from growing.
True.
Because you could also become very successful if you focus on what you love. You could, but you have to give that chance to yourself. So I think open mindedness is very important. But and just stay happy, just your happiness lies with you, so it's in your hands. So you can blame anybody you want, but if you are not going to do what you love, then you're never going to be happy.
So true. Yeah. I think that's
So
great
yeah,
advice. Yeah. It sounds really
enjoy.
simple, but I'm sure
Nah, it
it's
is not
there's
simple.
food
It is
for
not
thought. Yeah.
simple. Yes, it's
Yeah.
not simple. It takes time and a lot of will and a lot of courage. And a lot of people are not in that. It has to be a blessing also. A lot of people don't have the privilege to be, they have responsibilities. So it's hard to give the suggestion to everybody. It's not, it can't be
I know,
generalized. Sure.
I know, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I just have a few more questions, Shweta. As
Yeah.
artists in 2020, how
Mhm.
important do you think social media is for
I
artists,
think it's
especially?
become very important. I think it's become so important. I mean, I don't want to be on social media, but I have to be on
Yeah.
social media because how do I do my work? How do I get it out there? So I've started earlier. I used to hate it. Earlier,
Mm.
I used to be like, oh shit, I have to. Firstly, I didn't even have Instagram account for a long time.
Yeah.
So when people started to tell me, oh my God, you don't, how will somebody come and look at your work? So I started it. And now recently I realized, oh my God, I have to do so much. I have
Yeah.
to make sure that the post is going at certain time and this and that and response and all of that jazz. Um, so it has its negative and it has its positive. You just need to know, like I know that at night before sleeping, 1 hour before bed, I don't use my phone. After
Hmm.
I wake up, I don't immediately look at my phone. I will go and do my morning rituals first and then maybe get my breakfast ready and then I will look at my phone. So you have to kind of like practically schedule your day with your phone and on
Yeah.
Instagram, on any
Yeah.
social media. So if you can do that, then I think social media is a great platform. I think everybody is on it and you can, really get out there with your work.
Yeah. True. True. Especially in
So it,
2020 when we were in lockdown, I think, especially for Indian classical dancers, it was
uh,
amazing in a way because a lot of people don't attend too many Indian classical dance shows. But because it
uh,
was on social media, all you had to do was turn on your phone, it was right there. So there was a lot of good response that we received from audiences that usually wouldn't attend it. So I think it's been quite a blessing, especially in 2020, for
I
us.
had no idea that you could dance so well, man, Amy. When I saw you on Facebook and Instagram, I was like, oh my God, she's such a beautiful dancer. How could I miss it? Like, I don't think I would have been able to see your performance anyway. Like, and I don't think for a
Yeah,
year or maybe future I
true.
would. But thanks to social media, yes.
Yeah. So it's been quite
It's
a
awesome.
blessing. Yeah, social media has been quite the blessing, and we're having this wonderful conversation also thanks to
Yes,
social media.
exactly.
So thank you so much, Shweta. One fun question before we end: if
Yes.
there was one element of nature that you would relate yourself to the most, what would it be and why?
This is the question I would ask someone else. I love this
Acha.
question.
Okay.
I would ask it to myself. But I think for me, I would say like more like water or even air because I think for me, like just the flow of energy, like
Yeah.
whatever direction, because it's there, wherever the life takes you, you just kind of shape yourself that of that philosophy that you just, with like water, you just take shape of the lake or the structure. So, I love that, and I wish I am like that. I really work on it every day. We are losing you.
Shweta, thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this. I am so sorry for the internet connection, which has been
No
quite
problem.
terrible today. But
No, no, it's okay.
I've had a wonderful time chatting with you. Thank you so much for sharing so much and being so spontaneous and just being so positive in everything that you said, because it sure does make a lot of difference to me. And I'm sure everyone who's watched this has um, enjoyed it as well.
Me too. I had such a great time, and it was so nice to connect with you. Now I really want to fly down to Hyderabad and spend time with you both.
Yes, please, please. We should meet soon. Touch wood, it'll
We
happen
will,
soon.
yes. We
Yeah,
will, yes. Thank
yeah.
you so much for
Thank you.
inviting me. I'm so honored. Thank you so much,
Thank
Amy.
you so much to everyone who's been watching and sending such wonderful comments, Shweta. You have so many people sending you so much love. So thank you
They're
so much
coming
to
in late.
everybody. They're coming in
Yeah,
late.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Right.
very, thank you so much, Amy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.